my name is Maya and welcome to episode 24 of the Leela Tinks knitting podcast, where I share all my thoughts, process and other random stuff about all things fiber related, but mostly knitting. So today is the 6th of June 2024 and I'm coming to you from the French-speaking part of Switzerland where I live with my gecko. You can find me on Instagram as milahis.tinks and you can find links of everything I talk about down in the description box below, as well as my measurements if you are interested. So, today we have... I knit a lot because I was on holiday last week, I mean for the last 2 weeks, kind of. So yeah, I have a lot to show. I have 2 finished objects, the 2 of them are test knits. This is the first one. And the second one is the leg stripe for Ozetta, leg stripe T. And I have a work in progress, which, if you know, you know, it's the skirt. And I have an update on a very long-term project, which is the big colorwork blanket. Same, if you know, you know. So yeah, that's it for today. I don't have any acquisitions. I was on holiday basically in the middle of nowhere, so there were not really yarn shops to go to. And yeah, maybe I will do a little update on the holidays at the end, but we will see if we have the time. So let's get right into it. The first thing is what I'm wearing. Oh, I love it so much. So this is the... Look at the drape. Anyway, this is the Leela top I test knit for Caidree, and it was published 2 days ago, so the 4th of June. So if you haven't seen it yet, run, don't walk, because this is really lovely. I knit the size 2 on 3.25mm needles, or rather 3.5 for the flat section and 3.25 on the in the round section, but more on that later. And the yarn I used is Pernelle by Naticea, which is a French brand, and Pernelle is a 100% hemp blend, which is kind of surprising to use because when you get it in the skein form it's like super rough and you're like, I can knit a bag with that but not clothes. It's really surprising, but yeah, when I bought it, it was at the booth at the Swiss Yarn Festival, so I could touch a swatch and it was so soft. So I was sold and I bought the yarn, and I can confirm it really softens up a lot with washing. And yeah, this is already, it's kind of rougher than like cotton for now, but I know with washing it's gonna get even softer and softer and softer over time, so I just can't wait to see how this fiber lives over time. And yeah, it already has a lovely drape, as you can tell, and yeah, it's lovely. It's the colorway Vert Forêt, which is green forest. I used, I bought 2 skeins and I used almost everything. Basically I just stopped when I didn't have enough yarn to complete another repeat, like garter section, stockinette section, garter, stockinette, and I have this much left. So this is like, I don't even know, maybe 9 grams. And what I'm planning to do with this, I would like to knit a small swatch. Yes, I'm knitting a swatch after I knit the garment. Whatever, to knit a small swatch, like maybe probably this size it will end up, I think. And I would like to try to throw the swatch in the washing machine in the normal cycle, like 30 degrees, and see what it becomes. Maybe it will soften up more, like faster, and maybe it will give me a good insight on if I can actually put this in the washing machine with my other normal clothes, or if I need to put it in the delicate cycle with the other woolens I have. So yeah, I can try it out with the leftover I have, and it's excellent because I don't like having this type of small leftovers in random fibers, because yeah, I have like a granny stripe blanket for my merino nylon wools, but this is not wool, so I cannot put that in the blanket, so perfect use. More on that in the next episode, so subscribe if you want to see more. Anyway, the modifications I did to the pattern I did, I think 3. So the first one is that I added 1 pattern repeat. This is the front, so you can see I have like 1 section, 2, 3, I cannot see. And then the 4th is when the underarm cast on happens. And on the back I have 1 more. This is because the back is longer than the front on a human body. It's exactly the same as when you add short rows to the back neck of like a raglan or a round yoke, except this is not a, like, you need the front and the back separately, and I just wanted to, maybe it's easier to see on this side? No? Yeah, you can see here it's sitting nicely on my back, and if I hadn't done the modification it would be like this. Which is a look, but I don't like it. And you can actually tell in the pattern pictures on Ravelry, there is, I think, 1 picture from the back. And it's definitely fitting like this. Yeah, so I just wanted to avoid that, and now it's sitting nicely at the top of my back, which I really like. And to avoid having 2 big armholes, because I added length to the back, I did shorter straps. And it's working like a charm, I think. I'm really happy, super pleased. And it was such an easy modification to do, so I really recommend to do it if you ever need this pattern. Please note that I need the thin straps version, but a lot of testers did wider straps to be bra friendly. Obviously I don't have a bra, so I don't have really have this concern, but a lot of testers did, and Caidree, Sabina, did add the modification to the pattern, so you have the choice between thin straps and wider straps. And there is one person that actually directly sew the back panel to the front panel like this. I don't know if I can show you. Yeah, like this. So they are directly connected and it's looking really nice actually. It makes me think of the, I think it's called the Sabai top by Paula Strict. She's German, so I guess it's strict. Which is actually kind of similar to this. And I don't really like the feeling of this touching my neck, but I guess if you need a bigger size and the boat neck comes a little bit further on the shoulders, maybe you could do that. And it looks really nice on her, so yeah, that's another possibility. And that's it for the top. Yes, for the bottom I shortened the body. It's supposed to be, I don't know, I don't even know. As I mentioned, I just stopped when I didn't have any yarn left. So it's definitely cropped. My belly button is here. And I modified the hem because the pattern instructs you to do ribbing, like 1 by 1 ribbing for maybe 1 centimeter, I don't know. And I'm not sure about that because I feel, this is very personal of course, I feel like using ribbing in a design that has already stripes of garter is a missed opportunity to not use ribbing. I just don't like ribbing for some reason in summer garments. So yeah, I swapped that and I did the same garter stripe as the rest of the texture, and I did, I think, 2 rows of stockinette, so knit stitches, and I used a half, how's that called? Half hitch sewn bind off, which is kind of a Kitchener stitch, but you only do half of it. That's a really bad explanation. I will link a video tutorial in the description box, but basically it's a sewn bind off and it mimics the long tail cast on. So here I did a long tail cast on, and here it's the half hitch sewn bind off. So it does the same, but unlike the long tail cast on, the half hitch bind off is very stretchy, like very stretchy, which is kind of surprising. So I actually had to tighten all the stitches after I had sewn it, which was a little bit annoying, but yeah. And it did this really nice, very stretchy ending, which I'm really happy about, and I much prefer this than the ribbing, but you do you. There is one thing I wish I had done, is that when you do the garter sections, the gauge is a little bit bigger, because garter just has a bigger stitch gauge than stockinette. And when you do like stockinette, garter, stockinette, it doesn't really change anything to the gauge in itself, because the stockinette will tighten everything after you enlarged the gauge. But here on the last one, there is no, I mean I did 2 rows of stockinette, but it's not enough to really put in the larger gauge of the garter. So that's why I have this kind of rippling effect. It's not only because of the bind off that's very stretchy, it's also because just the garter is not getting pulled in by another stockinette panel. So I have this happening, which I'm not here, which I don't really like. And I wish I had done the last garter section on the small needle that's recommended for the ribbing. That would have solved the problem. The garter section and the last 2 stockinette rows, but I didn't. And now I have to undo the sewn bind off to redo this, so I don't know if I'm going to do it or not. We'll see. I will just see how this wears over time, because plant fibers can move a lot more than wool does, so we'll just see how it changes. But yeah, for now it's not bothering me too much. Anyway, there is one thing that I don't like about the pattern that I also wish I had changed. It's this. On some sizes, like you have the garter stripe, and you are doing the underarm cast on in the middle of a garter stripe, so you have like a curvy effect that's happening, because the I-cord edge you have here is kind of pulling the stitches to the top, but when you switch to not having the I-cord edge, it starts changing a little bit the tensioning, and you get a curve, and I just don't like it. I think it's a case where I would have preferred to have a little bit of a discrepancy between the sizing length, and have the sizes that have the underarm cast on happening in the middle of a garter stripe be either a little bit shorter or a little bit longer, to avoid having the connection in the middle of that stripe and not have this curving effect, than prioritizing prioritizing whatever, something the dimension over the look of the texture. But again, that's my opinion. It's only happening for 2 sizing, I think, maybe, yeah, size 2 and another one, I don't know which one, but yeah. I did mention this in the feedback form I sent to Caidree, Sabina, and I don't know if she took that in account for the published design, because we didn't receive the updated pattern, I think, so I don't know. Maya from the future, forgot something. The pattern, the Leela top, is not size inclusive. It only fits up to bust 132, I think, centimeters. So yeah, that's not great. However, it's super easy to modify. You have a few things to do. It's not like just add more stitches here, but super easy still. So if you are in the bigger size range, really just message me and I'll help you. If you need some help to size up, I can do that for you. So yeah, that's my take on knitting something not size inclusive, but still allowing people to knit it if you want to and are not in the size range. Let's go back to the present. You can find, for once, I did a Ravelry project page. My name on Ravelry is like Milahis, I think, not Milahis Tinks. And you can find all the details there written out and even more. I'm kind of lengthy when I write stuff down, so yeah, there are a lot of information there if you're interested, and yeah, I recommend going there, check it out. I also have some indications on the gauge I had with this yarn, because my gauge is a bit too big, which is not a problem for the test because I'm still within the positive ease range for my size, my bust size, so it's fine. But yeah, I have a gauge that's a little bit bigger. Yeah, I mentioned I use a different needle size for the top than the bottom, and that's because I tend to knit tighter flat, because I tighten my pearls a lot more, which is unusual. Yeah, so I switched to a smaller needle when in the round, but I think I kind of loosened up along the way, because I have this kind of flaring out, which is happening here, and I think it's because my gauge is a bit bigger here than here, because I just I just relaxed as I was knitting it. So I think it's not helping the little flowing thing here. I don't know. It's not a big deal. It's just something I noticed. All that to say that I really love this design. It's funny because when I applied for the test knit, it was mainly because I have two Soho tops, which are by the same designer. They are basically this design but in DK weight and old garter, and I love them, but I never wear them because they are for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is that they are too heavy and too hot for hot weather, and I just prefer something in fingering weight. So I jumped on the occasion when the test call for this came out, but I didn't really care for the striping and the texture. I was like, yeah, whatever, I don't like stripes. Famous last words. But yeah, I wanted the garment for the shape and the weight of the yarn, so I applied anyway. But now that I have it, I just find it so gorgeous. I really think the texture is awesome, and I like the way you have the garter stripes that's stopping at the underarm, so you don't have the weird connection at the beginning of the round that's like offset because of the way you knit. And yeah, I just like the small details there are in this design. It's just really lovely. I really recommend it. It's such a simple knit. It goes so fast, and yeah. And for the no bra girlies like me, it's like the best because I'm not flashing anyone when I lean forward, which is so precious. So yeah, I really recommend it. It's really lovely. I'm actually already planning to knit a second one in the yarn I originally planned to use for this one, but I didn't, but because I couldn't get gauge. So this is the first swatch. The yarn is Estiva by Lani Vendole in the colorway Poseidone, and it's a little bit crinkled because I took it in my suitcase on holiday. But yeah, this is the swatch, and it's the same texture but in a very much lighter yarn. This is almost 200 grams. It's 185 I think, and I think I can get away with 50 grams of this yarn for the same design, which will be very interesting. But this one has wool, so it's still going to be warmer than this one. So yeah, I'm probably going to cast this one this week or next week. I'm super excited. I just love knitting this so much. I'm super happy to have the opportunity and the yarn under my hand to knit another one so soon. Yes! Anyway, so yeah, I think that's all for this one. I really like it, really recommend it. And it's an easy knit, quick knit. Go for it. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Anyway, so that's it for this one. My second finished object is not blocked, so it looks a little bit weird. But it's another test knit I did, this time for Ozetta, Hailey. And it's the Legs Stripe Tee. Wow! It looks so cool. As I mentioned, this is unblocked. So it has the signature saddle shoulder construction, and it's a tee with stripes. Like, yeah, whatever, I don't like stripes. Famous last words. So yeah, I knit this using Isea Trio 2, which is a linen cotton lyocell blend in two colorways. So they are granite and green tea, which is kind of a purpley blue and green, and they go so well together. I'm so happy about the color choice. Yeah, so I finished this, and you know what's funny? This is lighter than this. As I mentioned, this is what, like 180 grams, and this is, I think, 170 grams. So it's a little bit lighter, even though it's a t-shirt with sleeves and everything. And yeah, just found it funny. So I test knit size 2. I used 3.25mm needles, which is a little bit smaller than the recommended. And I knit this during my holidays, so it was almost perfect knitting for the holidays, but not really, not completely, because I still had to manage the two balls because I didn't cut my yarn between the stripes. I carried the floats between them, so The yarn management was a little bit painful, but I did it anyway, so it worked. I'm just going to try now instead of doing this. I'm so happy. Yeah, so this is my leg stripes. It's not blocked. Again, it's going to like stretch out a little bit. And it's super cropped, as I always do, as I like. And it's looking lovely. So my shoulders. And I'm gonna go into the modifications. But yeah, this is how it fits, how it looks. It's so lovely. I'm so happy. Anyway, so the modifications. As I mentioned, I need size 2, but I need size 3 for the back panel, but only for the stitch count, which doesn't make a huge difference because there are like 3 stitches difference. Because in the latest episode I mentioned, like, why would you do another pattern to just add stripes to an existing design, which is the lace tee? And I'm eating my words because there is a big difference. Actually, everything is designed and graded to fit the row counts for the stripes. So, for example, the saddles are the same length for the first like 3 sizes, and then you get one more pattern stripe for the next 3 sizes, and then another pattern stripe for the last 3 sizes, which makes it a completely different grading than the lace tee without the stripes. So really there is a big difference between the 2 patterns. Know that. And yeah, so I need the size 2, which is in the middle of the range for the smaller saddle. And I tend to have fit issues on my back, so I discussed this with Hailey, and she mentioned I could maybe use the stitch count of size 3 on the back to get a little bit more room. And I also figured maybe I could use the row count, but no, because then my stripes wouldn't have matched at the underarm if I used a different size for the front and the back. So I couldn't. However, I still did add more length to the back, as I always do apparently, because if I hadn't done that, the fold, if the front and the back were exactly the same length, the fold on the shoulder would happen exactly in the middle of the saddle. And then the collar would be too high. I would get the same issue as the Leela top I showed you. The front would be a bit too high, it would be like this, which is fine on the look, but it's touching my neck too much. I don't like it. And on the back it would sit like this, which is okay, but it's just better like this, I think. Which is why I added more length here. Which gave me a bigger armhole that I couldn't just make shorter straps like in the Leela top to compensate. So I just have bigger armholes. So I picked up the correct amount of stitches for my armhole, and I decreased down to the size 2 sleeves using a gusset at the underarm. You can see it here, which looks perfectly fine, I think. So that's a trick if you tend to have problem like fit issues in the shoulders and you tend to need a bigger size for the shoulders. You can just do gussets. It also works for the body. I have done it in another sweater. I have gussets at the underarm and here just below the underarm cast on, and it works like a charm. So this is what I did, and it's going to look even better when it's blocked. So yeah, it's perfect. Another modification is, of course, I cropped it a lot. I think it's supposed to go like down here. And I did folded over edges instead of ribbing, because again, I don't like ribbing in summer garments. I don't know why. In this case, it's a twisted rib, like half twisted rib, but it doesn't change anything. I don't like it. So I did this, and I did the little trick of having just a pop of color at the fold. So this is the same size stripe as this, but I have the sewing line of the folded over hem that's showing, and I have the same on the sleeves here and on the collar. For the collar, I was a little bit worried it was going to like do this, but too much, and actually it's fine. Pretty happy. I used the same stitch count as the ribbing collar, hoping it would work, and it did. Please note that for the body and hem ribbings, no ribbings, folded hems, I used the body needle, like the big needle, until I did a purl row here on the fold. So I used the bigger needle until the purl row, including the purl row, and then I switched to the recommended needle for the ribbing, which is, in my case, 2 sizes smaller, so 2.75 instead of the 3 that's in the pattern. And I used the smaller needle for all the reverse part of the folded hem, which helps to avoid having the hem flaring out. And I think I knit 5 rows on the inside, and I sew down the live stitches. I didn't bind off, because the bind off gives a bulk, and when you sew it down it can just accentuate the folding effect like this, because it's bulky. And it's not stretchy usually, so I just don't bind off, and I sew down the live stitches, and I sew them 6 rows higher, which means that the inside part of my hem is smaller than the outside, which means it's pulled in instead of flaring out. So the flaring out won't always happen, but I have found that it happens too much for me to take the risk, so I just stack the different options I have to avoid the flaring out. So some of them are using smaller needles for the inside of the hem, sewing the stitches 1 row higher than the number of rows you actually knit, or decrease the number of stitches after the fold. Usually I just pick 2 out of those 3 options, and this time I picked the smaller needle and the skipping 1 row, because I found that if you decrease the number of stitches, that means you have to sew the stitches to a different number of stitches on the fabric. So you have to skip 1 stitch on the fabric every 10, for example, if you decrease 1 stitch every 10 stitch, you have to skip 1 stitch every 10 stitch when you sew. And I just can't remember to do that, so I always mess up my stitch count, and the hem starts to get a little bit biased, and it's annoying, so I just picked the other 2 for this time, and it's working like a charm. I don't have any like flaring out anywhere, and it's looking super nice, and I'm so happy. It looks so clean and fresh, and I like it. Yeah, so for the collar though, I use only the smaller needle for the whole thing. I didn't use the bigger needle for the for the top part and then switch to smaller. I just used the smaller for the pickup, for the outside, and for the inside of the folded over hem, and it's looking perfect. So yeah, and if it still flares out after blocking, I can still add an elastic inside it. So everything perfect. I'm so excited. Yeah, so that's it for this one, I think. Oh yeah, I had a lot of leftovers, because I used, I think, 2 balls and a little bit of the third for the base color, and I used 1 ball and a little bit of a second for the contrast, so I have exactly, I think exactly 85 grams left of each, which is funny. So I'm left with like a lot of leftover, and I'm not sure what to do with, and I'm not sure I want another stripy thing, but it's too small to use in itself, so I will probably need to pair them, so I don't know. I've been thinking maybe I can do like a cami with intarsia, and having one side be one color and the other side be another color, so that it gets a different look than the stripes, but I still can pair those 2 beautiful colors together. I don't know. If you have suggestions, I'm taking them. No stripes, but using small amounts of fingering weight some yarn. This yarn feels so fresh. It's difficult to describe, but it's like when it's slightly damp, so it has like a cool touch, but it's not damp. It's just that the fiber feels cooling. I don't know, it's really amazing. I really like it. Anyway, I just removed this and I can show you. Saddle shoulders are known to have a lot of ends to weave in afterwards, and saddle shoulders with stripes is even worse. So I have a lot of small ends kind of hanging around everywhere. And yeah, I wove most of them as I went, but I still have a lot of... yeah, it's the kind of finishing touch I don't like to do. As I mentioned, I carried my floats during between stripes, and you can see the floats here. I think I did a good job. I mean, you can kind of see it on the right side, but it's not obvious either. It's here. I think I did a good job. And this should block out, so nice. So that's it for my 2 completed test knits. I think I'm gonna... no, not I think. I'm going to block this and wear it in the next episode, so if you want to see a very polished, finished look of how this will be after blocking, stay tuned. Yeah, so now let's go into my work in progress, which is, as I mentioned, a V-skirt. And I'm just now realizing I forgot something. Wait. So, a V-skirt is a self-drafted design that I knit, I don't know, 2 years ago, I don't remember, and I just love it so much. It's this. It's a super lovely skirt, like a skater style with a lot of flair. If I hold it upside down, it looks like this. So it's not a circle, but almost. And this is the first sample I knit, and this one is knit using Antigone by De Rerum Natura, which is 100% linen yarn. And I cast on the second sample because I'm planning to publish the design soonish. Yeah, so I just wanted to knit another one, and this new sample includes pockets. And here we are, so it's completely scrunched on the needle. But I promise there are pockets, and they are here. Look, wait, if I can find it. Hi! It's a pocket! Yeah, so this one is knit using Candide by De Rerum Natura, which is a cotton and wool blend, and it's super soft. Which was very important for me because the waist, this is the waistband, is close to the body, and something that's like cinched to me needs to be extremely soft, otherwise I just can't stand it. So this is one of the only, I mean I haven't tried a lot, but this is one cotton blend yarn, wool cotton blend yarn that works for me, so I wanted to try it out. And it has specifications for, like, the colorway is Grand Bleu. It has specifications saying it's like sport weight, but I'm knitting this on 4.5mm. I like a DK gauge, I don't even know, and yeah, it's going super fast. This one, I think the gauge is maybe 23 stitches, and this one I am very happy to report that I have no idea about the gauge or the stitch counts I have on my needles. No clue, because you don't need that. It's a type of pattern that you knit to measurements, and you literally just choose needle based on the fabric. If you like the fabric you get, then just use those needles, and just cast on, follow the instructions, and you will get a skirt. You don't need to count the stitches, you don't need to do any calculations, you don't need to pre-plan stuff or whatever, just knit. So yeah, it's like the muscle bro hat, except you don't need to measure your gauge to calculate the finished piece you want to get. Just knit. And yeah, I'm super happy it worked. My idea worked, so yeah, it's just a recipe kind of that you follow, and you can get... This doesn't look like a skirt at all. I should have put it on bigger needles or on a cable, but I didn't. I'm going to start writing the pattern probably this week, next week, I think. I just came home from holiday, so I couldn't write a pattern while I was away. But now I can, so I'm going to start now that I have checked that my idea works. And I think I'm going to include a lot of instructions on options, because first I have decision fatigue and I cannot make my mind on one type of like edging for the hem or pockets or not, or the main thing is that the overall shape of the skirt is going to affect a lot how it falls on your body. So this one is kind of, I would say, it's not a circle as I mentioned. A full circle would be flat edge like this, and then the semicircle. So when you unfold it, you get a full circle. But this one is, I would say, we are missing 1/5 of the semicircle. So it's not, I mean, it's hanging nicely and it has the draping effect of a skater skirt, but it's not as much knitting as if you're knitting the whole circle. And this one is not a circle either, it's bigger. So if this one was done and I was holding it like this in front of you, you would get the shape with the waistband in the middle and then like this. Which means if you unfold the circle, you are going to have ripples because you have more fabric than the area of a circle can take on the floor. So you're going to have a lot of fabric basically, and it's just going to give a lot more of this than with this shape. And I just like that. So that also means that if you turn on yourself while wearing the skirt, we are definitely going to see your butt. which is funny also. But yeah, so this is my second, and the third option I want to do is the full circle, plain circle. Like when you fold it in half, you're going to get something flat like this, like 180 degrees. Yeah, so that's the three options for the flaring, the degree of flaring you want. Options for pockets or no pockets, and different options for the hems. I have a few ideas, and this one is actually, it's pretty interesting because this one is a raw stockinette edge. I have literally done nothing. This is just stockinette, and I used, I think, suspended bind off or something like that, or maybe Jenny surprisingly stitched a bind off, I don't even know. And it's just a raw edge, and it's not curling. Because in my experience, plant-based yarns don't curl as much as wool do, because they don't have any memory. So once you flatten them out, when you block them the first time, they'll just stay there, because they have no memory to curl back into the old position, in my experience, at least with linen yarns. So yeah, if you are too lazy to do like ribbing at the end or folded over hems or whatever, I-cord edging, and you are using a yarn like this one, only when the first time you block it, you will have to be really careful about like pinning out the little curls. But I think I have washed this one maybe 3 times in the washing machine on delicate cycle, and I just threw it on the blocking mat. I didn't do anything, I just laid down flat to dry, and the edge, the bottom hem has stayed like this. It's not curling over again. So yeah, that will be the first option, and then I will probably include a folded over hem anyway, and an I-cord. And I would like to try maybe having applied cable edge, and probably also a frilled one. Super cute, like maybe peplum style, kind of, I don't know. I will try those with the swatches, but yeah, that's my plan. Maya from the future here. Good thing I haven't put out the camera yet. Just wanted to mention that this ribbing for the hem is not going to be in the pattern, because if you want to knit the waistband like this, you will need to measure your gauge and your waist and count the number of stitches you're going to cast on, and we don't want that. We don't want to count anything, so this is not going to be in the design. It's just the way I did it for the first sample. I don't even remember how I did it. I think I winged it. I did not even measure anything, but yeah, I'm not going to tell you to wing it in the pattern, so this exact thing won't be there, I think. Probably not. Who knows? Yeah, I'll let you go back to the past, present Maya. Lot of options, lot of possibilities, and super easy and mindless knit, and yeah. I'm super excited. So I'm going to, as I mentioned, write a pattern this week or next week. I need to find a tech editor. I don't have one because I haven't never published a pattern. And then send this to TechEdit, and then I'm probably going to do a test call at the end of the month of June. And it's going to happen on Instagram. So if you're interested, you can follow me there. And if you don't have Instagram, leave me a comment. We'll get in touch so that I can give you information on another channel, device. I don't know. So yeah. I will also include video tutorials because the waistband it's not tricky, but it's a little bit... I mean, the pattern is so easy that the waistband becomes the most complex part of it, because the rest is so easy. So I figured it would maybe work for beginner knitters, and if you are a beginner, I don't think you have already done double knit bands, so I'm going to include instructions on that, and there are a few tips and tricks I can show you to just make your life easier, and that's just easier to explain in the video rather than write it down. So yeah, that's pocket. Yeah, that's that. And I already actually I already filmed the video, but I did a mistake while knitting during the video, and I didn't notice until afterwards, so there's like a mistake in my tutorial. And I also realized there is something I could change. It's a little bit detailed, it's just the placement of the beginning of round that I could change to just make it easier for afterwards, so I need to film them again. But it's fine, I learned along the way, and yeah. But yeah, it means I will have to knit another sample, which is fine because, as I mentioned, I had already planned it and I already have the yarn for it. And this one is going to be in lace weight. So I have 3 skeins of this absolutely gorgeous grey color, and as you can tell, this is extremely fine yarn. It's a lace weight. This skein is 800 meters. It's side lace, which means silk lace in German. It's 100% silk, and the colorway is Earl Grey, and the dyer is CD Split. I also bought this at the Swiss Yarn Festival, and it's going to be so lovely. It's going to be such a beautiful drape, and yeah, I wanted to try out a very different gauge because yeah, this one is like mid-gauge, mid-DK gauge. This one is worsted to heavy DK gauge, and this one will be lace weight. Just want to check my idea if it works in all the gauges, and you still don't have to count your stitches or know your gauge in any gauge. I'm not sure you can go any higher than worsted, because then you won't have a lot of drape in the fabric, but if you don't want drape, you can try. It's probably something I will have to check with the testers. If anyone wants to test at a very big gauge, we can try. So yeah. Oh, and of course, another option in the pattern will be, of course, the length. You can just knit to whatever length. I tend to prefer mid-thigh, how do you call the upper part of the leg? Thigh? No, thigh? Thigh. Mid-thigh length. That's just what I prefer. But I'm pretty sure a lot of people prefer like knee length, or even mid-calf length, or if someone really wants to knit a lot, you can do ankle length, like maxi skirt length, I don't know. We're gonna see in the test knit. And of course there's gonna be a super long testing period. I think I'm gonna give 3 months, so until the end of September, July, August, September, yeah, end of September, so that you have a nice long time to knit the biggest skirt ever if you want to. So yeah, I think that's all for this one. I'm extremely excited. This one is going like so fast. I think I knit this in, I don't know, but it was super fast. However, don't be fooled, because of course, since you are doing a lot of increases on the body of the skirt, the more you go, the slower it gets until you get to a point where you knit a whole ball of yarn and you have made like 3 centimeters progress. At the end it gets a little bit difficult, but yeah. As I mentioned in the latest episode, I think, the trick is to count not the progress you make on the fabric in itself, but to count the yarn you use. That's a little bit better psychologically, I think. So that's it for this one. I'm done for the current work in progress. Except I wanted to talk to you about the blanket, do an update on that one. It's my long-term project. I've been knitting on it since January, yes. It's the Arctic Morning Blanket by Jenny's Hope, and it's a colorwork hexi blanket, and you knit each hexagon separately and then you sew them all together, and it's beautiful. And I'm knitting using only Nutiden yarn from my stash, and I'm really starting to lose steam on it. I'm just so tired of knitting all those colorwork hexagons. It was fun until the maybe 15th. Oh, I thought there was a guy I know on the road, but I don't think I know him. Sorry. Yeah, it was fun until the maybe 18th, 19th, and then suddenly when I hit the 20th, I need to knit 29. Suddenly when I hit the 20th, it was like, oh, I can't take it anymore. I'm so tired. But I'm gonna push through. I just finished the 24th, no, 23rd. I did 2. Wow! It looks so good on the camera screen. So much better than in real life. Wow. This is giving me hope again. Oh my god, it's amazing. I knit 2 during my holidays. And oh my god, that's so beautiful. I'm obsessed. Maybe I can find the courage to continue. I was not planning to stop anyway, but yeah. Yeah, sorry, I'm having a moment. Yeah, I finished the 23rd. I think I don't even know. I have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hexes left. I'm counting there because I can show you actually. Welcome to my disgusting living room. So this is my desk. Yes, it's facing... I don't like having my back on a room, so it's facing inside so that I have my back facing the wall. So it's literally in the middle of the living room. And this is my sewing machine. And here is what I'm trying to show. So this is my TV that I'm obviously not really using a lot. And this is half of the blanket, so it's actually... How can I show this to you? It's folded in half here. Here. We have exactly the same display on the other side of the TV. And yeah, I'm just using this as a design wall, kind of, to just see the placement of my hexes. So those 2 are going here, but on the other side. And yeah, so this is half of it. I need to do the center hexi, I need to do the 4 that go on this place, so the 2 here and the 2 on the other side. This is the center, and I also need 2 here in the middle, at the edge of the center. So still 7 to go. 1, 2, 3 times 2, 6 plus 1. And yeah, it's beautiful. I really like it, but yeah, it's a lot of knitting, and the motifs are different, but it's still always the same. You're still doing a colorwork hexi, and yeah, I'm getting kind of tired, but I push through. I can do it. I have calculated that if I continue on the rhythm of 1 per week until the end of the blanket, I will be done by the end of July. So only 2 months to go. I can make it. I can do it. So yeah. And also I realized I had a feeling during this year that I was so slow on my knitting project. I mean, it probably doesn't look like it because I literally finished 2 garments, and I did the beginning of the skirts and everything. I need a lot and I need fast, but I usually need even more and even faster. So I was getting this weird sensation that I was super slow this year, and battery change. But the thing is, I'm actually knitting a lot on something that I cannot wear. So that's why I have this weird feeling of not knitting a lot, but still knitting a lot. I think I have used more than 1 kilo of yarn in this project until now. Maybe like 1,200 grams. So that's a lot of yarn to knit. So yeah, I just need to not forget about all the progress I'm doing on this one. Wow. This motif is beautiful. I didn't realize it. Anyway, so that's that. And I probably join the hexes during the month of August, unless the weather gets crazy and we get incredible heat waves after heat waves after heat waves like we had the previous years, and I don't want to knit on a huge unspun double strand super warm blanket. We'll see. Maybe I join everything at the beginning of the winter. I don't know. But yeah, that's my progress on this one. So just a home stretch left. I can make it! Yeah, so that's it for the knitting for today. I have some footage of my holidays. We went climbing into the south of France with my boyfriend. We took the van. So he has like an old Volkswagen T3 collection van. It's older than me. So yeah, it's a very, very old bus. And it's super cute. And yeah, it was absolutely perfect. Everything went well. The weather was super nice. A little bit too hot, but I mean too hot for climbing, not too hot for everyday life. But when you climb, you don't really want to have the best weather when you climb is kind of 10 degrees cloudy, and it was more like 20 degrees very sunny, but it was fine. And I have some footage. I don't even remember what I filmed. Maybe I'll do a voiceover, maybe not, I don't know. I'm still a little bit in a holiday mode with my brain, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I have some footage of that. And yeah, it was super cool. I'm sad to be home, but it's okay. Holiday cannot last forever, I guess. Anyway, so I'm gonna leave you there for today. I hope you enjoyed. And as I mentioned, if you are interested in the progress of the test call or the design for the skirt or for whatever else, you can subscribe. I put out videos every 2 weeks, podcast episode every 2 weeks, so yeah. And I wanted to mention, thanks for the support on the latest episode. I got so many nice comments, like, I don't know why, but yeah, it was just such a nice thing to read all of them, mostly during my holidays. And yeah, it just made me so happy. It always makes my heart sing, so thank you from the bottom of my heart for the super nice comments you left. And I think that's all for today. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you are knitting on something that you love or doing something that you love. And I will see you in the next one. Bye! So this is the path we were taking every day to go down from the parking lot to the climbing crag, and as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful. It's full of flowers, of wildlife, of birds, of everything, and it was just a delight to go on this path every day. This land is actually owned by private persons, so the people that own this land let the climbers and the hikers and everyone just wander through this for free, which is nice of them. But it also means that it was forbidden to stay there for the night. It's not the case for all the private lands in France, but in this case it was. So we usually actually stay on the ground where we are climbing, so that we don't have to drive every day to get to the climbing crag. But here we had to, so it was a minor inconvenience, I would say, for the joy we had to just go through such a wonderful and beautiful place. It was really, really amazing. As you can tell, I sometimes have to use my hands to go down more complicated parts of the path, and this one is very complicated. As you can see, it's kind of a canyon thing, and you can see the rock formations on the left and the right are looking like piles of plates. The rock is called dolomy. I don't know how you translate this, but it's how the people in the region describe this rock. It's a pile of plates, which is pretty accurate, I think. And it was the first time for me climbing on something like this. It was very, very different from what I have touched until now, but super interesting and super nice. That's, of course, my boyfriend, you can see, working in front of me. So this is the actual climbing crag, at least one of those we went to, and it's really impressive, I think. That weird construction you can see is actually a ruin, so I have no idea about the history behind it. I don't know who constructed it or whatever, but it was there since before people started climbing this. And as you can see, it's a very beautiful vertical wall. This is one I tried to climb actually. It was super hard, but I tried. I made it to the top, but yeah, it was difficult. So a little bit further away you can see an actual roof. So this is another type of wall you can climb. So it's very different from a vertical wall, of course. And it's also much harder, as you can guess. But yeah, my boyfriend tried something there, and yeah, it was very impressive. The path along the climbing crag continues on to another section of the wall that's, again, more vertical. We get out of the roof section. And there were a lot of also very beautiful routes down there, but I'm not going to show you because it's not very interesting to see if you don't climb. But yeah, that's the very impressive part I can show you. And I can also make a small like close-up of the ruin thing. I have no idea what this is. This is like a sign that some climbers put there. There is also a notebook and you can leave some notes, and basically it's just telling you to leave the place better than you found it, which is pretty normal, I guess, but it's still nice to have it written down somewhere on the crag so people don't forget. And yeah, I'm going to go inside the ruin. Here on the top of the door it's written "Si vous ne trouvez rien," which means if you don't find anything, but I couldn't find the end of the sentence, so I have no idea what happens if you can't find anything. As you can see inside, it was probably some people lived in there, because there is some soot on the walls, because there was probably a fire or something. You can find some shelves inside the rocks. It's very, very, very impressive. It's really cool. I would like to know what happened there many moons ago, but yeah, I don't know, and I couldn't find any history behind this. In the distance there, on the top of the hill, you can see a village, and it's called Venasque, and apparently it's one of the top 10 most beautiful villages in France, which is nice. And in the distance you can see the Mont Ventoux, which is a very, very famous mountain in France. And yeah, so that's it for the tour of one small section of our holiday in Venasque. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.